Hello, get yourself sat down for it is time for another episode of Bonus. For the gameplay this week, I have for you some Call of Juarez Gunslinger, for it is the Steam sales and I picked it up for a mere £2.99. It's a game that I actually missed the first time it came out, which is a shame because it is by far and away the best game in the Call of Juarez series. It's not even close. I've played the first two games a while ago now, they're quite old. I haven't played the Cartel, but the reviews don't really seem to be too kind to that game, so... But this is amazing, it's brilliant, it's a distilled slice of Western excellence. So if it comes up on the Steam sales again, I can heartily recommend its low price. I sound like I'm shilling for it, don't I? I'm not, it's a cracking price for a pretty solid game. So anyway, let's get on with the questions. I'm in kind of a quickfire mood, so I might try and get through quite a few this week. Aki40FF says, have you played Starcraft 2? If so, which faction do you prefer the most and the least? I have played it. Not a huge fan of the multiplayer. I play for the single player and AI skirmishes. Favourite faction? Probably the Zerg, although Terran aren't too far behind. Least favourite? Protoss. I don't know, they're a bit sort of space elf and magic-y for my tastes. I prefer the more visceral side of the action. Zombor Licky says, do you think Advanced Warfare will still do well in sales? I don't know if Call of Duty Ghosts broke any records, but I think it marked the beginning of Call of Duty's decline. I think if the multiplayer isn't the best in the series, COD will start to fail. I'm sure it'll still sell a few million. It's got Kevin Spacey in it and it's going to be heavily marketed. So yeah, it'll sell. Whether it'll break the series' previous records remains to be seen. It might, maybe. But I suspect a lot of people are starting to get tired of the series, so there may be some drop-offs. Primey says, Stu, where do you stand when it comes to video game resolution and frame rate? What is more important to you? Are you willing to take a hit on resolution and overall graphical fidelity to have a game run at 60 frames a second, or do you not mind 30 frames a second? I don't mind 30 frames a second, but I definitely prefer 60 frames a second. Generally speaking, a faster frame rate comes with more responsive controls, and it just, it feels a little bit better, everything looks a little bit smoother. The only trouble is, of course, that it's twice as expensive on a GPU level to render twice as many frames per second, so you get a few more visual niceties at 30 frames, which means in screenshots and on YouTube, which is capped at 30 frames a second, from a marketing perspective, there's no real incentive to shoot for 60 frames a second, which is a shame. Miles Stroud says, hey Stu, what do you think about mod support in-game? Do you think more games should include it as standard? It keeps old games alive with the plethora of new user-made content and can improve games with optimization patches and graphical overhauls. Modding support is definitely nice. Don't think it's essential with everything, but it's certainly nice where it's included. I think games with a strong multiplayer focus definitely benefit, or games that leverage, new engine tech or anything like that, when there's a technical advantage to having mods there. So yeah, I mean, it's always a nice thing to have, but I wouldn't say it was essential for every game. The Mad Titan says, Stu, now that we've seen more footage of No Man's Sky, what do you think of it? Do you think it could finally be an indie game that really does well sales-wise? Well, I don't know about sales, but it does look very interesting. It's very colourful, and I like that. I absolutely adore procedural generation as well. It's something which I love on a technical level, and I do worry it's kind of become a bit of a buzzword, but random generation is, for me, really, really cool. So that, I like. Hopefully, it's a good game. We'll see. I guess the proof is in the pudding. John Gallagher says, have you ever thought about shining the spotlight on some indie games in single video pieces, like Survival Guides for the Forest or The Stomping Land? It's definitely not out of the question. I think with my channel in variety mode, I can see some indie games cropping up there. I mean, I've done a couple of Minecraft videos, and there have been plenty of indie games that have cropped up in the multi-game videos, so yeah, I'm not averse to covering them. It's a question of scheduling, really, and seeing if there's anything that tickles my fancy. RVB fan says, Stu, have you played Assassin's Creed Black Flag? And if so, what did you think about it compared to the other Assassin's Creed games? I actually quite liked it, Compared to the other Assassin's Creed games, I'd say Black Flag is probably my favourite. I like the whole pirate theme, for one, and the variety between being on your ship and exploring and, actually exploring cities. It was nice, it was diverse. And yeah, it kind of does the usual Ubisoft thing, where there are far too many collectibles and there's far too many side quests. But I definitely had fun with it, for the most part. The only exception I can think of are the tail missions, where you've got to be all stealthy and tail people and listen to their stupid conversations while avoid insult. I didn't like those missions. Not in the slightest. The Robert Thet says, "Hi Stu, do you think console technology would ever allow for cross-platform multiplayer gaming?" Well, it already does. The technology is there. It's not particularly hard. But the trouble is, when you put consoles against PC users, well, the PC guys tend to have a bit of an advantage because they're using mouse and keyboard and they can aim quicker. As far as Xbox, PlayStation interactivity, well, that's all political, isn't it? They want you and your friends to all buy the same platform, so why would they encourage cross-platform multiplayer? So yeah, the tech is there, but the politics aren't. Sticker704 says, "Nigella Lawson? Ugh. I don't care what you say, she's lovely, and I'd be delighted to have her cook for me." Aerodynamic 11 says, "Did you watch the Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain trailer? Interested?" I'm not hugely invested in the Metal Gear Solid series. It seems a little bit story heavy for my liking. But I know a lot of people enjoy the series, and I do feel as though I should get into it. So maybe Phantom Pain will be my entry. We'll see. Legit Scope says, "Hello Stuart, what are your thoughts on Far Cry 4? It looks alright. It looks like Far Cry 3, but with better graphics. And I guess I don't have a problem with that. On the plus side, I don't think it's possible to have a more dull protagonist than Jason Brody, so anything will be a step up from that." Village says, "Stu, will you make videos about Fallout 4 if and when it comes out? How do you feel about the Fallout series in general?" I think Fallout 4 videos are all but a certainty. I'm a big fan of Fallout 3/Fallout New Vegas. The setting's neat, and I like rummaging through people's stuff. But one thing that really surprised me when I did the viewer request video is like 1 in 4 of the requests revolved around the Fallout series. So I guess Fallout would probably be a really, really popular game to cover. I think as far as mass audience is concerned, there's a huge potential pool of people out there. So I don't know what I'll do, but I'll probably do a few videos for it. Maybe like, I don't know, Vault Tech, weapon thingamabobs, instructional things, I don't know. We'll see. I'll get creative with it, and hopefully I'll make a good video out of it. Thresh Kill says, "I wonder if FPSs are starting to go the way of the dodo. Kind of an extreme thought, but it seems like a ton of highly anticipated FPSs, Titanfall, Destiny, Battlefield, aren't doing very well." Well, I don't know about that. I've been playing FPS games for 20 years now, and I still kind of like them. There is something fundamentally satisfying about shooting somebody in the face across the internet. I can see certain styles of FPS waning in popularity though. I do think modern military stuff, that's probably due for a recession. We've seen, you know, Doom stuff come and go, and then kind of there was an emergence of cinematic stuff, like Daikatana and Half-Life more successfully. Then late millennium, we saw a flurry of arena shooters. You had Quake 3, Unreal, and then of course Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, huge wave of World War II shooters. So yeah, everything ebbs and flows, and maybe we'll see a new style of FPS, maybe something that, you know, we're not used to seeing, maybe something entirely new. Hopefully, something fresh would be nice. Tipsy says, "I guess with you not being impressed with Hardline, means you'll be not covering the game at all, Surface." I can force myself to play it, I'm sure I'll get into it. I probably will do at least one video for it, and I know I say this every Battlefield, but I actually mean it this time. It'd be nice to do something like the weapons of Battlefield Hardline, but it depends on how hard it is to unlock all the weapons. So we'll see, I might have to split it into different ones. Roshian says, "I disagree with you on pricing with digital games, Stu. On Steam, you pay less than the release price for console, which then has another price cut on it." To clarify, last week I was talking about digital pricing on Xbox, which is abysmal, it really is, at least in the UK. Trust me, I don't have any issues with the digital prices on Steam, I think they're pretty fair and competitive. I only wish those prices were reflected on the Xbox marketplace, but they just aren't. I mean, 60 quid for Watch Dogs. Ridiculous. The DreamFX says, "What do you think of Uncharted 4 and AC Unity?" They look alright, I'm sure they'll build on each of their series' respective legacy, but it's difficult to say precisely how good they'll be without actually playing them. I mean, the graphics look nice, but beyond that, who knows? It reminds me I should really catch up on the Uncharted series, for I've only played the first one. Leonardo says, again, the same question, "Stu, what is your opinion on Belgian weapons?" And another one, "What's your opinion on Belgian beers?" I think when people say Belgian weapons, what they really mean are FN weapons. Because I can't think of another major arms manufacturer in Belgium other than FNSL. And of course, yeah, I like FN stuff. The FN-FAL, probably my favourite Cold War battle rifle. You've got stuff like the SCAR, the 5.7, more modern weapons. They do a whole bunch of stuff, and yeah, it's all good, it's all good. I mean, FN are an arms company with quite a reputation. Can you think of any Belgian guns that aren't made by FN? No, you can't. It's a bit like when people say, I like German guns. What they really mean is, I like HK guns. Because, alright, Germany's a little bit bigger. They do have some other companies. I mean, you've got Walther and Sauer. But beyond that, unless you're into precision shooting or air rifles, there's not that much. Anyway, back to the point. Gotta keep it quick fire. What's my opinion on Belgian beers? I'm actually drinking one right now. I'm drinking a bottle of Lef, which is, it's a Belgian ale. It's a commercial one, but it's a Belgian ale nonetheless. But yeah, I mean, of course, Belgium, fantastic beer brewing nation. I like their stuff. Like I always say, if you want beer, look to the 4 Bs. Britain, Belgium, Bavaria, and Bohemia. I mean, there are probably some other decent beer brewing areas, but I'm sorry, you don't start with a B. Mr. Mapfer says, what do you think of Germany, and what about the censorship there? Well, I like Germany. I think any country that has a strong focus on beer and sausages is fine by me. And we have a shared European cultural heritage. You know, you have lederhosen, we have Morris dancing. The only real divide comes about when you start talking about either football or, well, World War II, I suppose. And of course, this is one of the aspects of German censorship, is the depiction of, you know, the artifacts and symbols of the Third Reich. In my recent Enemy Front video, I used the swastika as the flag to represent Nazi Germany, as it is the flag that represents Nazi Germany. And a few Germans were like, oh, what my word. You know that's not the flag that represents modern Germany, right, Stu? You know that's the... Yeah, I know that, I know that, I know that, I know that. I know you're not Nazis. I know. I sometimes forget that, you know, our World War II games outside of Germany, they're plastered with swastikas everywhere. It's normal to us. But in Germany, they're a mite more sensitive over this. And in fact, the outside of art, the depiction of the swastika or any sort of Nazi stuff is completely banned. Which kind of makes sense, because there are groups of people who have a rather strong affection to Hitler, to the swastika, to the Third Reich in general. And these neo-Nazis, they are a bit of an unsavoury lot. So you can kind of see the logic in having laws preventing their proliferation, I guess. But otherwise, I mean, I don't know, censorship is never really a particularly good thing. And the censorship in Germany also extends beyond politically sensitive symbols. I believe quite a lot of violence is censored there as well. Team Fortress 2 in Germany doesn't have the blood and the jibs that most of the rest of the world sees. Instead, I think everybody bleeds black and gives off... I think it's oil, I think. Unless they've changed it. Now, this kind of censorship, I don't know. It would be nice if adults had the choice whether to see this or not, you know? I'm all for the self-regulation of violent content, of sexual content. I'm glad that stuff like PEGI and the ERSB exist, you know, so parents can make an informed choice when it comes to buying video games, or even people who are adults who are sensitive to this sort of thing, you know? But, you know, outright censorship, to outlaw this sort of thing, I don't know, that kind of sucks. Anyway, there we go. Germany good, censorship bad. Quickfire round. Zach Welsh says, Stu, how long is the average X1 install for you? Probably about 10 minutes, I'd say, give or take. Inconvenient, but yeah, it's only once, isn't it? It's fine. Having to install things, that's a PC thing. God, if this keeps up, I might as well keep on playing on PC. 123 Skate Flip says, hey Stu, just wondering, do you own any pets? Yes, I've got 3 cats and 3 tortoises. Kovdoskoy says, when was the last time you played Modern Warfare 2? That would be when I recorded for the Desert Eagle video. So, a couple of months ago. I haven't played the multiplayer in quite a long time though. Jordan X Brooks says, hey Stu, since you said you wanted your channel to have more variety, will you be doing videos for Halo 5 Guardians next year? I think you can expect a one-off for that. It's a pretty major FPS release. It will have weapons. I think it's pretty plum ripe for doing a weapons of. So yeah, I'll probably do something like that. I'd also quite like to do a Halo special for the release of the Master Chief Collection. I think that'd be quite nice. Tal Cornfield says, "Hi Stu, would you rather have 750,000 subscribers and make videos you were really proud of and were well received, or have 5 million subs and make low-effort Minecraft playthroughs?" Well, I think the activity on my channel is kind of indicative of the sort of answer you'll get from that. I haven't started uploading low-effort stuff quite yet, and I don't really plan to. That being said, I wouldn't say no to the money of a 5 million subscriber channel. Nike Product says, "Have you thought about doing a video on the depiction of zombies in video games, like in COD, Resident Evil, etc.? Well, a brief history of zombies certainly isn't out of the question, so at some point in the next couple of years, maybe." Tim Cooey says, "Can you give an update on your game? I only work on it infrequently, but there has been some progress made since last you've seen it. I've extended the HUD and some of the internal workings for the score much more visible. Some of the graphics have been modified / upgraded because there's a lot of placeholder stuff. At the minute, I'm stuck on bookkeeping. A lot of the game, I think, is going to revolve around the metagame behind high scores and records. You know, like, time survived, that sort of thing, and score per minute. All sorts of leaderboards and all sorts of stats recorded. But the bookkeeping needs implementation, which means I need to write a model for the scores, for the records, for instances of games, and all the logic behind that. And then I also need to write the routines to write it to disk, to save it. Maybe I should take a week off making videos and do nothing but work on my game. I could do like a crush blog with the state that it's in today, and then work on it for a week, and then do an additional crush blog and show you the progress. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? I might very well do this after Iconic Arms. Narsak says, "Do you regret starting the Titanfall series?" Regret probably isn't the right word. I like the game, I like playing the game, and I'm pretty proud of what I've done for the Titanfall series. I think, they're pretty cracking weapon guides. It's just a bit of a shame that the viewer base isn't quite there. And, to see lower view counts, it is a bit of a hit to the old self-esteem. So part of me thinks, "Stu, you can just cut and run, you don't have to finish the series," and then part of me thinks, "There's only 2 episodes left, Stu, come on, you can finish it." And I'm kind of caught between those two. I'll feel a lot better once the last 2 episodes are done. It gives me the freedom to move on to other stuff. But I do think people will look back on Titanfall and they'll remember it fondly. So, if nothing else, the Titanfall weapon guides give people a chance to relive what Titanfall was like in its prime. I'm thinking like 2-3 years from now, when Titanfall 2's on the horizon, people will be able to see what the game was originally like and how it played, and yeah, that would be quite nice. I think maybe there'll be some secondary views in the Titanfall series, just out of sheer nostalgia, but I don't know. Yeah, it'd be nice if we got more views, but well, here we are. Joe Combs says, "Stu, do you think the British Army should change its current assault rifle, the SA-80, for something more reliable?" Honestly, the L85A2, the slightly tinkered with version, I think that's probably fine. I think, it's going to be reliable enough. I don't know if it's the best service rifle in the world, but it's certainly the best service rifle the British have designed. And yes, I know the Germans have tinkered with it for the A2 version, but it's still technically a British rifle, and that's all that matters when it comes to all this jingoism. Shinji Nishimura says, "Hello ahoy, what loadout would prepare the Maverick assault rifle, COD Ghosts DLC weapon?" I have no idea, because I never bought the DLC. I've never used the Maverick, so I don't know how to use it. Sorry about that. Miss Rio's Ace says, "Have you ever played Borderlands? Only I'd love to see The Guns of Borderlands, the pre-sequel. The guns in Borderlands are amazing, and there are so many." There are quite a few guns, yes. I've played Borderlands, I've played Borderlands 2, and most of the DLCs as well. I've considered doing something like that for the pre-sequel. I think doing every single gun, quite clearly impossible, but I think you can maybe break it down by weapon class and by weapon manufacturer, and, maybe explain some of the traits of the weapons, like, the TDR weapons that explode like a grenade when you throw them, or the affinity for elemental effects that Maliwan weapons have, for instance. So yeah, I might do something. Quite precisely what I might do remains to be seen, but But yeah, we'll see. Hierofax says, Stu, the Steam Summer Sale is beginning. Have you picked up anything? Do you have any preferences for games to go on sale? I've bought a few things. Let's have a look. What have I bought? I have bought XCOM Enemy Within. I love the base game. I have never bought the DLC though. I've never had time to play it. But it was cheap enough, so I picked it up. Sid Meier's Pirates. Of course, I've got a piratey video coming up, and I thought, well, I could just download it illegally. But I thought I'd pick up a legitimate license so I can play it on Steam. Octodad, Deadliest Catch. It's a novelty game, but it's an interesting novelty game, and I think it might come in handy for future vids. Divine Cybermancy. It's a cyberpunk game. I like cyberpunk, so I thought I'd check this one out. And again, I might do something with cyberpunk in the future. Age of Empires 2. It's a classic. It was cheap. I couldn't say no. Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition. Again, it was cheap. I already own it for the Xbox 360, but I think I'd rather play it with nicer graphics. Farming Sim 2013. You know I like simulators. Shadow Warrior. Impressively gory. It was always been slightly too expensive to justify buying it, but it came down to a few quid, and I thought, yeah, I'll have that. Space Hulk. I like spaceships. And Warhammer. Yeah. Call of Juarez Gunslinger, as you can see right now. Pixel Piracy, well, it looks like indie rubbish, but it is about pirates, and it was relatively cheap, so I thought I'd pick it up. And Delver, which, again, indie rubbish, but it looked kind of cool, and I do have a bit of a soft spot for roguelikes, least of all because they are procedurally generated. Anyway, that's what I bought this Steam sale. As for specific hopes, I don't know, I just hope for stuff that I have an interest in that happens to be quite cheap. Anyway, we have gone well beyond the 20-minute mark, so I shall wrap it up here. I shall get this rendered and uploaded, and then I shall, I'm about to go to bed, actually. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's well past my bedtime. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you on the main channel for a couple of Titanfall videos. Just the car and the Kraber left, and then I'm free. And I'll probably see you next week for a bonus. Probably. Until then, farewell.